and that chapter name is sources of raising long-term finance and cost of capital. Okay, so chapter name is sources of raising long-term finance and cost of capital. So this is a chapter which I want to discuss with you people today, is that sources of raising long-term finance and cost of capital. Okay, so now let me understand. Okay, let me try to explain you. So finance, raising finance, okay, raising finance can be done either through short term also, or it can be done through a long term source also. Okay, so basically we say there are two basic or important source. Okay, these are the two sources of raising a finance. Okay, these are the sources of raising a finance. Either you can raise from short term or long term sources. Okay, that you need to understand very clearly here. So why basically, and but in this particular chapter we are going to learn long-term finance. Okay, how are you going to source the long-term finance, and which are the long-term finance are there in the company? Okay, what are the different ways and what are the different avenues of long-term finance? So first, let us try to understand the features of long-term finance. Okay, we are not concentrating on short-term, we are concentrating on long-term finance. Why do we need long-term finance? What are the features of having a long-term finance in the company? So there can be various reasons, okay, where a company can use this long-term finance. Okay, so when you say long-term finance, basically it used to purchase or it used for investment in fixed asset. Okay, that is the first purpose of having a long-term finance. Okay, next, it is obtained, once again it is obtained from capital market. So we can take long-term finance from where? Capital market also. I hope you know, all of you, that when you say financial markets, right? So financial markets are nothing but we have money market and as well as we have capital market, right? So these are the two important market we know, and what money market says and what capital market says, even that also we know. When we need a short term funds, we go to money market, and when we need a long term funds, we go to which market? Capital market. So long term funds can be raised through capital market. So that is the one important thing, is long term finance can be obtained from capital market. Okay, that is one thing. Long-term finance have long impact on the business. Okay, so long impact on the what? Business. Now one, it is a one-time investment, right? It is long impact on the business. So when you say long impact on the business, what it means? It is a one-time investment you are doing, not regularly. Let's say if you are purchasing a fixed asset. Okay, let's say you are purchasing a plant and machinery. Okay, so when you say you are purchasing a plant and machinery, you will not do the investment regularly. So purchasing a plant and machinery is a one time investment which have a long term impact. Okay, long impact on the business. Let's say you purchase the furniture, those are things which are used for long term purpose, right? That is why, and long term purpose are used nothing but long term impact. So two things you need to understand here. First thing is what? Any asset which are called as fixed asset, those are done for long term purpose. Okay, long term investment, these are called long term investment, right? So it is, if it is a long term investment, means obviously there will be a long term impact also will be there in the business. So that is what you need to understand. So long term investment will have a long impact on the business. Okay, this is the long impact on the business. So that is what you need to understand. So why it is have a long-term investment? Because impact, because we are using that particular asset for a long period of time. And what is the general purpose of you raising long-term finance? What are the major, or what are the, why usually we raise long-term finance? Sometimes we use for financing the big projects. Okay, like when a project is been started, it required a lot of funding. Okay, financing the project like metro construction, roads, infrastructure, dams, right? Or any big uh, like metro city you want to develop, or you want to develop a IT city, IT park, right? Like just like we have Manyata Tech Park, those are long fun projects which require a lot of fundings, right? So big project like Manyata Tech Park, that is long-term finance. We require long-term finance. So financing the project is a big project. Let me write as not project only. Basically the big project. For that we need a long-term finance. Next, company want to do some expansions of the business. They want to do further expanding. Okay, they want to do in the next level. They want to reach their product. They want to start a new branches also, or they want to do international level trade also. They require a long term finance. So expansions, if it is there. Okay, if a company want to increase the production capacity in the business, even there also we need a long-term finance. So next we have something called as funding operations. Even that time also we need a long-term finance. So basically all those things are called as what? Features of long-term finance. Okay. So this is the main important features of long-term finance. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, fine. So now let us move on to the next one. Okay, very important. Quickly go down. Okay. Now we are going to see what are the sources of long-term finance. Okay. So next we will see the sources of long-term finance, or we can say the sources of finance. Sources of long-term finance. So basically, okay, next heading we have to give long-term finance. So finance, long-term finance can be taken from two ways. One is through something called as through owner's capital, okay, that is from owner's capital, and one is in the form of what? Borrowed capital. So there are two ways where you can collect the finance, okay. One is through owner capital and one is what? Through borrowed capital. When it's the owner's capital, okay, there are two sources. One is owner's capital, one is borrowed capital. What do you mean by owner's capital? One is through equity share capital, okay. One is through what? Equity share capital. And next one is what? Through preference share capital, okay. Preference share capital. And next one is retained earning. That is one okay, so these are the three types under this two capital will come. That is one is okay. Owner capital, we have equity share capital, preference share capital, and retained earning. Okay, that is what you need to understand here. Okay, next one is borrowed capital. Borrowed means of course loan. So what are those will come? Like debenture will come in that. Okay, so debentures is one of them, and term loans we can say, okay. And next is others funds which can be collected through what? Various cap. So when you say borrowed long term, again it includes what? Long term finance. Owner's capital also long term finance, right? So all these things are part of your what? Long term finance, okay, which categorize into two: owner's capital and one is what? Borrowed capital. Okay, so now when you say what is equity share capital, all of us we know that equity share capital is nothing but the owner's capital which enjoys the rights of ownership in the company basically. So those people who takes part in the ownership, okay, they enjoy the voting rights of the company, And also if the company gets a very good profit and surplus, they get very good dividend also. So try to understand, these people have the shares in the company as a owners. Okay, that is why it is called as equity share capital. So what is now preference share capital? Basically, it is nothing but the investment which is made by the preference shareholders. So when preference shareholders, when you raise the money through preference share capital, means you are raising money over the equity. I mean to say, they get the preferential rights, preference shareholders who get the preferential rights over the equity shareholders. So they get a regular dividend, which is generally fixed. So dividend rate is fixed in case of preference share capital, but in case of equity share capital, it may not be the same. Okay. So the dividend is depend purely on the companies, how much they earned the profit. Okay. So based on that, they will declare the dividend for equity shareholder. But for preference shareholder, most of the time it is a fixed dividend. Retained earning. Okay. Now what is retained earning? Retained earning means these are the earning which are not distributed to the shareholders. That is called retained earning. So the earning which is not been given to any shareholders, that is called as retained earning. Okay. So basically what is retained earning? It is nothing but the earning not distributed, okay, which is not distributed to whom? Shareholder. That is called as what? Retained earning. So what is retained earning? As we have discussed now, okay, the earning which is been not distributed, so that is called retained earning. Means this earning will be kept from the profits. From the profit, what they do, shareholder company, they keep some amount for future investment. Okay, if they want to finance any project, or they want to finance the expansion or diversification of business, they usually use the money from their retained earning. So that is nothing but what? Retained earning. So that was all about your owner's capital. So one thing is, next one is debenture. Debenture is a one kind of financial instrument for raising a long-term debt capital. So debenture holders are basically, they get once again fixed rate of interest, right? So they are the one of the creditors of the company, right? And they get a fixed rate of interest on their whatever is the debenture is there. Okay. Remember, debentures can be different types. It can be convertible debentures, or it can be non-convertible debentures. Okay, those are the two important types of debentures. Okay, so where in non-convertible and convertible, what is the difference between is this? Non-convertible debenture, they carry a fixed rate of interest and have a maturity period of 5 to 9 years. Okay, remember how much? Non-convertible debenture have a maturity of how many years? 5 to 9 years. Remember, company can raise debenture. Again, they have to be very specific what kind of debentures they are raising from the market. If they are raising non-convertible debenture, so the maturity period will be how many? 5 to 9 years. And what happens in this non-convertible debenture? The interest part, if the company is not able to pay the interest will be accumulated and it will be paid by the company. Okay, so they don't have any rights, okay, in the form of like voting rights and all. And non-convertible debenture, remember, they cannot be converted into equity shares. Okay, they cannot be what? Converted into what? Equity shares. So that is called as what? Non-convertible debentures. So basically such shares are not able to easily convert into equity shares. So now what is convertible debentures? Okay, convertible debentures means what? Those which can be convertible. Okay, whether it can be convertible, whether it can be fully or partly. Okay, we can say whole or partly, right? So these are the debenture we can convert easily into equity shares. So those are called as convertible debentures. So it depends on the company what type of debentures they are raising, either it is a convertible or non-convertible debentures. Okay. So this was all about your what borrowed capital. First one, debenture, we have finished. Next one comes to your term loan. Okay, when you say term loan, let us discuss now. Try to understand. Debenture was a separate. Just once again. So this was all about your owner's capital, and this is all about your borrowed capital, right? So debentures part we have discussed this, all those things. Now let us discuss what is now term loans. Term loans, nothing but those are the loans which are given for some specific time period. Okay, so term means there is a time is involved in this. Okay, so you try to understand, basically these term loans will be given for, let's say, for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Okay, that depend on the how many years a loan is taken. Okay, so it can be 3 to 5, or it can be, sorry, 3 years to 5 years, that is one, or 5 years to 10 years. So these are the terms are been involved in this particular. So either it is a 3 years or 5 years or 5 years to 10-year term. That is why it is called as term loan. So again, it is for long term purpose only. So that is what all about your long term finance. Okay, when you come to others, okay, what comes under others loans? So like there are some financial institutions are available in the market who gives the loans for the specifically for the industries and all. Like if you take a loan from, let's say, there is an IFCI. Okay, what is IFCI? Industrial Finance Corporation of India. Okay, Industrial Finance Corporation of India. This is the agency which they give the industry loans, especially for only industries. Those who want to start the industries or those who want to loan for their industry, so you can approach to IFCI. They give a borrowed capital. Okay, IFCI is one. Next one is IDBI. Okay, Industrial Development Bank of India. Okay, next one we have IIBI. IIBI. So what is IIBI? Industrial Investment Bank of India. Okay, industrial, let me write here, Industrial Investment Bank of India. Okay, so that is IDB. I think you know everyone, but still let me write here, Industrial Development Bank of India. Okay, so these are the industries, these are the financial institution who gives the loan. Now, okay, next one is, I hope everyone know this, CDB. CDB is one of them. Then you know something called SIDC. CD. Okay, these are SIDC means what? State Industrial Development Corporation. Industrial Development Corporation of Corporation. So every state will have its own SIDs. They gives the loan and all for the industries. Okay. Next you have ICICI Bank, those Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India. They also give the loans. And next we have something called SFC, State. Okay, I hope you know State Finance. Okay, imagine how many options are available for any company or industry to take a loan. Okay, so State Finance Corporation of India, State Finance Corporations. So these are the industries where they can take the loans. Bank industries. Okay, these are the various options available for industry to take the loans. Okay, I not written here full forms. What is the full form of CDB? CDB is nothing but small industries. Can, okay, small industries Development Bank of India. So all these things are, these are the various industries institution which gives the loan. Okay, fine. Is that fine? Everyone got it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay, so we discuss long term. We are all talking about long term. Remember, these all name whatever we writing. These are all gives the long term finance for the company. Okay, next. Let us start now. What is cost of capital? The concept now. So when you, what is cost of capital? In fact, this is very huge discussion on cost of capital we can do. Cost of capital means when you're raising a fund, obviously you require some cost, right? So basically what is cost of capital? It is nothing but, it's also called as a required rate of return. Okay, a required rate of return. Cost of capital is nothing but required rate of return that every firm must achieve in order to cover the cost of generating funds in the marketplace. Okay, so what it means, cost of capital means every firm they should generate some kind of income, okay, some kind of revenue. The return should be more than the cost always. Okay, the firm returns should be more than the what, then the raising the cost of capital. Now for example, let us put it into very simple. Okay, if you do a business and you want a loan and you are taking a loan through debenture, so what do you pay for debenture? You pay the interest. So debenture interest is, let's say, 6%. You are paying the interest how much percent? 6%. So now what, as a company, okay, as a firm, your return on investment, okay, your return, or we can say the required rate of return, it should be more than the what, the cost which you are paying, that is nothing but it should be more than the debenture rate of interest. Then only you are able to make a profitable, right? So your firm return should be more than the 6%. At least you should earn 12%. So what will happen if you see the net result, okay, the net return for your company, how much it will be? Your return is 12% and you are deducting the cost which is 6%. So 12 minus 6 is nothing but you are actually getting the 6% return. Okay, you are getting the actually how much percent return? 6% return. So that is what you need to understand over here. So okay, so 6% is the return which you should generate. Okay, that is the company which can be get over a period of time. So that is what I want to tell you, is that the return should be always more than the what you are expecting or what you are getting here. Okay, so the net return will be how much? 6%. So this 6% is called as required rate of return. This 6% is called as what? Required rate of return. Okay, so that is all about your cost of capital. Okay, try to understand when there is a different formulas, they given assumptions also. So basically in finance language, okay, the cost of capital is called as, okay, the cost of capital is nothing but it is called as a hurdle rate. Okay, try to understand, it is called as hurdle rate because when you, so this 6% which you are paying debenture interest, it is called hurdle rate. Okay, which is called as what? Hurdle rate. Why it is hurdle? Because all 6% from your 12%, you're giving 6%, right? So which is nothing but the hurdle for the company for return generating. So that is the hurdle for you as a company. Okay, that is what it says, the hurdle rate for. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next we'll try to understand, okay, what are the measurement of cost of capital. Okay, how do we measure? Okay, let us see now the measurement of cost of capital. Try to understand, we are raising money from different sources, so that is measurement of cost of capital. first we'll see very important one by one we'll go, that is called as cost of debt, which is represent as KD. Okay, try to understand that we are going to see first one. So what is KD? KD is nothing but cost of debt. Okay. Now when you are raising the money through a debenture, obviously there is a cost is there. And remember that cost is nothing but the interest is the cost. The interest is called as what? The cost, which is nothing but the amount which you will be paying to the debenture holder. Okay. It's the amount which you will be paying to a debenture holder. So cost of debt is calculated after tax because interest payment are tax deductible. Now try to understand in the when you calculate the cost of debt, okay, which is nothing but called as what? KD. So that KD is nothing but it should be always calculated after tax. Okay. After tax. Why? Because try to understand, I am writing the reason, because interest, whatever you are paying the interest, that is called interest payment. Okay, that interest payments are tax deductible, so you get some benefit of tax when you pay the interest to the debenture holder. So tax deductible for the firm. So always remember, when you are calculating the cost of debt, you should calculate it after tax. So what will be the formula will become now here, cost of debt for that formula. So KD is nothing but cost of debt is equal to, okay, let me write here. So KD is equal to cost of debt is equal to, now remember cost of debt, I told you it should be what? After tax only. Always you should calculate it after tax. So for that you require cost, then 1 minus T. What is 1 minus T? T means tax. How much you will be paying the tax. So that is why it is called as cost of debt after tax. Okay. So now let us see one small example. Let's imagine one company is there. Example number 1. A company is there whose cost of debt, okay, one company's cost of debt is, let's say, 10% they given here, and the tax rate is of that company is, let's say, 40%. Okay, it is how much percent? 40%. So these are the two information which they given over here. So now what do you need to do? You need to calculate the cost of debt after interest. So what is the formula? KD after tax, okay, is equal to KD 1 minus T. So how do we calculate now? What is the cost of debt? It is nothing but how much percent? Cost of debt. So let me write here one by one. KD is how much? 10 percentage, right?
Yes, sir.
So here it is given here. Just see this example. We are going to discuss that only. So here KD is 10%. Okay. T means tax. Tax rate is how much percent they given? It is 40. So now let us calculate.
40%.
Yeah, so cost of debt after tax will be how much? So KD after tax, okay, KD after tax, let us apply the formula. 10 bracket open, 1 minus 40% means, can we write is at 0.4? 40%
Yes.
is nothing but, how did you get 0.4? 40 divided by 100. So you will get the answer of 0.4. So is equal to 40 divided by 100, 0. Okay. So that is the answer which you get. So now let us calculate now here. So 10. So 10 into 1 minus 0.4 is nothing but how much? 0. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So 10 into 0.6 is nothing but how much? 0.6. Are you getting 0.6? Okay, so now we got the answer at nothing but 10 into 0.6 is nothing but you are getting 6. 10 into 0.6 is nothing but how much? 6 percentage, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So you will get 6. So KD is nothing but 6%. So cost of debt is nothing but how much percent now? 6 percentage. So that is what you need to calculate over a period of time. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is what your cost of debt. Now, for example, if it is a cost of debt which are issued at discount, if it cost of debt, nothing but debenture which are issued are at what discount, which are issued at what discount. Then in that case, how do you calculate the cost of debt? That we'll see now. Okay. Go down. So for example, if a company is there, let's take example number 2 here, we'll discuss now. Yeah, let me write. Jen and okay, Jen company, they sells new issue of let's say 6%. They are issued 1000 redeemable debenture of rupees 100 each, and they issued at what 10% discount. Issued at 10% discount. Next, the cost, the company, let me write here. The company falls in 40% tax bracket. So company is paying how much? 40% tax. You need to find cost of capital of this particular company. So this is the question which is there in front of you. So how do we calculate first? Let us try to understand here. So now what we need to do is that here the company is selling or issuing the 6% 1000 redeemable debentures, which is calculated of rupees 100 each at a 10% what discount. So company is issuing at a 10% what discount. So if we calculate 1000 into 10, okay, first of all let us take the total debenture how much they are selling. Okay, total debenture, that is nothing but SV value, sale value. How much will be there total? If you see debenture, there are 1000 debentures issued and one debenture value is how much? 100 rupees. So it will come to rupees how much? 1 lakh, right? So no.
Yes, sir.
But the thing is, what has happened is that the debentures are issued at a discount of at the rate of how much percent? 10%. So obviously, what will happen when the debentures are issued at a discount? We'll get the less value. So actual SVs, the sale value, okay, the sale value of this debenture will be how much? So 1 lakh minus how much percent discount? 10%. So you will be getting only 90,000 rupees. So 1 lakh minus 10%, it is nothing but how much into, let me write, yeah, so let us take is equal to 1 lakh into 10 percentage. So 10,000 is the total discount value. Okay, let me write here as a, it is a discount value. But remember, discount when you are issuing will get loss. So actual sale value will be how much then? Is equal to, okay, 1 lakh minus 10,000. You will get only how much? 90,000. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the value which you will be getting actually after selling the debenture. But remember, now we have to calculate the cost of this company, cost of capital. So remember, when is there is a, if such kind of debentures are issued, so cost of capital, again what we need to do here, the total, here the slightly the formula will be changed over here. So to calculate the cost of debt, okay, let me write here. The cost of debt, when you calculate in here, it will be like this. KD is equal to I means what is the rate of interest, okay, bracket, as usual 1 minus T. 1 minus T means tax divided by total SV. So let us put in the formula and we'll calculate. Now let us first, we need what is the interest we'll be paying. So how much is the interest there? Okay, now go back to the question. Debentures issue 6%, 1000 redeemable debenture. So it means company is paying the interest of how much percent? 6% on the total value, right? So they sells. Okay, so let us calculate now interest over here. So what will be the interest amount? So is equal to 1 lakh into 6% into 6 divided by 100. So you must get how much interest? 6,000 rupees. This is the
6,000.
interest. So we getting interest which is 6,000 rupees. Okay, that we got already now here. Now let us calculate that 1 minus T. Okay, so 1 minus T is, so tax is how much here? 40%. So tax is company is paying the 40% tax over here. So let us put now the formula in that. So cost of debt is equal to, okay, KD is equal to 1, and that is nothing but, sorry, I 1 minus T divided by SV. So let me write here. So is equal to 1000, right? Sorry, 6,000 is the rate of interest,
Right.
6,000 and bracket 1 minus tax is 40% means it will come 0.4 divided by SV is sale value is how much? 90,000. Okay, so you will get the answer of 4% if you calculate. Are you getting, everyone? So just convert this
Yes,
one,
sir.
you will get the 4%. So this is my cost of debt, 4%. That's all. So this is the answer when you calculate in case of debentures issued at a discount. Okay. Now let us move on to the next part of the cost of preference share capital. Okay. Now we will see cost of preference share capital. So what is now cost of preference share? Same thing what we have studied in debentures, we have to study now cost of preference share capital. Okay. So let us try to understand how do we calculate cost of preference share capital. Now when you say preference share capital, okay, so here you have to understand you are going to do calculation of cost of irredeemable. Okay. Okay, IRE, irredeemable preference shares, and one is cost of redeemable preference shares. So two things you need to understand. One, we are going to do calculate the cost of both redeemable as well as what? Irredeemable preference shares. So let us start. How do we calculate cost of redeemable preference share? Again, cost means here what will be the cost of preference share capital here? Basically, the cost will be dividend for the company, right? They have to pay the fixed dividend for preference shareholders. So here KP we have to denote as a what? KP. What is KP? Cost of preference share. So KP is equal to the annual dividend, okay, the annual dividend which is paid by the company, which is nothing but annual dividend of preference shares divided by what? The market price of the preference shares. The market price of what? Preference shares. So that is the formula to calculate the dividend for cost of irredeemable preference share. Okay, so what is the formula here? Once again we repeat. So dividend, annual dividend which is paid to them, as well as market price. When you divide those things, you will get the cost of the preference shares. Okay, irredeemable preference shares. How much is the cost? It means we have to minus that one from your profit. Okay, so basically that is the ultimate formula for calculating the cost of irredeemable preference shares. So let us do one small exercise here. Exercise number 1, example we can say. So let us say the calculate the cost of, okay, calculate the cost of 10% preference shares, percent preference shares capital of 10,000 preference shares they given, and face value of this preference share is, let us assume, is at rupees 100. Face value is rupees how much? 100. And the MP means the market price is rupees 115 rupees. Sorry, market price is how much? 115 rupees. So let us calculate the cost of this particular irredeemable preference shares. So how do we calculate for this? We have the formula KP is equal to cost of preference share is equal to annual dividend divided by market price. Okay, we can say the market price of preference share. Let me write changes market price of preference shares. So that is the formula to calculate over here. So now for that we need to know, to calculate this, first we need to identify the numerator. So numerator, they says you need to have an annual dividend for this. Anyway, we have market price here. We can see there is a market price is given here, which is 115 rupees. But numerator we don't know what is the annual dividend, but denominator we know, that is nothing but market price. So how do we calculate the annual dividend? First you need to calculate the annual dividend, then only we can divide it, and then we'll get the answer, that is cost of irredeemable preference share. So how do we calculate the annual dividend? Okay, now remember always the rule is says dividend are always, okay, dividend are always calculate on the face value of the shares. Whether it is a equity or preference, both rules are applicable to both same. So dividend always calculate on the face value of the share. So now let us calculate and let us see what is the face value of the shares. Okay, so now if you see in the question, the preference shares having a face value of rupees how much? 100 rupees. So the face value is rupees how much? 100. So face value is 100 means we can calculate the annual dividend here. So how do we calculate the annual dividend? Face value is 100, and what is the rate of dividend is how much percent? The cost of the preference share is how much percent? 10%. So which is nothing but we have to pay 10% dividend to them. So 100 is the face value into 10. So let us calculate is equal to 100 into 10% is the total. So if you calculate this one, you will get 10 rupees. So dividend you will be paying how much? 10 rupees per share. So we got the dividend now, and we have next what we need market price, which is nothing but 115 rupees, already they given in the question. So with this two information we can calculate the cost of irredeemable preference shares. What is the cost, okay, involved in that? So the KP is equal to, what is the formula? Just divide, okay, annual dividend. What is the formula? Annual dividend divided by market price of the preference. So 10 divided by 115. So this is nothing but the cost of the preference share. So let me put in the percentage. It will close to 9%. So this is the cost of irredeemable preference share, which is nothing but 9%. So this is nothing but for a company, if they want to raise the capital, means they have to incur the cost of 9% on paying the dividend. We have to incur 9% as a cost for raising the capital in case of preference shares, that is irredeemable preference shares. Okay, so I hope you clear everyone this one.
Yes, sir.
So next one is the cost of now we saw the cost of redeemable preference share, and then we'll see the cost of what? Redeemable. Irredeemable we saw. So let us see now here. Let me delete this one. So what is the formula for to calculate cost of redeemable? KP is equal to, so I'm just writing the formula, D plus, okay, bracket RV minus SV, okay, bracket close, divided by N to the whole bracket. Okay, let me put it here. So this is 1, the whole divided by RV plus SV raised divided by 2. Okay, now this is the formula to calculate the cost of redeemable preference shares. Okay, so let us see now what is this one by one. What is RV? We are going to see what is the meaning of RV. RV is nothing but the redemption value. Okay, RV is nothing but the redemption value. Okay, let me write here. Okay, next. RV we have what? SV. What is SV? SV is nothing but the sale value of the debenture. And next one is what? N. N is nothing but what? Number of years of maturity. Okay, number of maturity. So means how many years that preference shares has been issued, and D stands for what? Dividend. Nothing but always remember annual dividend, how much they have been paid. So with this we can calculate the cost of redeemable preference shares. Okay, so now let us solve an example on this and we'll understand. Okay, example number 2. So let me write here. Suppose for example, if a company issue, okay, 10,000 8% redeemable preference shares. Okay, if a company has issued 10,000 8% redeemable preference shares, okay, of rupees 100 each, face value is how much? 100 each, and redeem after how many years? Let us take it is redeemed after 20 years. Face value. Okay, next one is flotation. Okay, FLOATATIO. The flotation cost, okay, are rupees 3 per share. Okay, let me explain you what is flotation. Calculate the cost of capital, cost of preference share capital. Okay, cost of preference share capital. We need to calculate now here. So very simple, the question is already there with you in front of you. Okay, what the question says, let us read this question first. A company has issued 10,000, okay, 8% redeemable preference shares, and the company has been going to redeem after 20 years, this at a face value. And in between the company is incurring something called as flotation cost, okay, which is nothing but to on this flotation cost is nothing but they given 3 rupees per share. So to raise this 100 rupees they incur 3 rupees of cost, that is flotation cost. Okay, and calculate the cost of preference share capital. So we need to calculate the cost of what? Preference share capital with this particular example. Okay, so now let us write one by one and then we'll understand. And remember, the company is going to redeem after 20 years this preference share, and they are going to redeem this preference share at a face value. Okay, the company is going to redeem the preference share at what? Face value. Okay, so that is very important for us. So we will write as RV. Okay, RV is nothing but redeemable value is nothing but 100 rupees. Okay, so redeemable value nothing but after 20 years they are going to redeem at a face value only. Okay, so that is why we have written the RV as how much? 100 rupees. So redeemable value is nothing but after 20 years the company will be redeemed at what? 100 rupees only. Okay. Next one is SV. SV is nothing but the sale value, but try to understand. In our case, the SV will change here because face value is 100. But if you see, if the sale value, company has incurred 3 rupees of cost. So the actual SV will be my how much? 97 rupees. So remember, the flotation cost is always we need to minus from the face value of the shares over here. Okay, now next what I need a annual dividend, right, which is nothing but the very important part of this. So the annual dividend is nothing but the company, let's check for example, what is the rate they given here? The company is given the rate of 8%. So 8% they are going to pay the dividend. Remember, rate here it is given. The rate indicates the dividend rate. Okay, it indicates the dividend. So dividend is how much percent they are going to pay? 8%. And I told you in the just now recently that dividend will be calculated always on the face value. So let us calculate now the annual dividend of this company, how much it will be. So is equal to, what is the face value? 100. So 100 into how much percent we are going to do? 8%. So we will get how much? 8 rupees is the annual dividend of this company. So company will be paying every year 8 rupees dividend to this preferred shareholder. So 8 rupees, which is nothing but 8 per share. Okay, which is nothing but 8 per share. So now let us put in the formula and calculate the cost of preference share. So KP is equal to, we know our formula is what? D. Okay, plus bracket open. Okay, I need not to write, already I have written here. I'll just copy the formula here. I'll just copy this formula. Once again. So I have copied the formula here. So let us start now one by one. So is equal to D. How much I got? D, 8 rupees. So 8 plus bracket open. What is the redeemable value? It is nothing but how much? RV is how much? Can you see? This RV is, we have written here. RV is how much? 100.
100.
Okay. So RV is okay. How much? 100 rupees. And minus SV is how much? 97 rupees. So 100 minus what? 97 divided by, and this company is going to n means number of year, they are going to redeem after how many years? 20 years. Okay, so this is will come in numerator, right? This will come. Okay, let me write, this one is in your what? Numerator it will come. Okay, let me write here. Okay, fine. So going to this value will be your numerator value. Now we have to go divided by denominator. Okay, denominator. So denominator, in denominator what will come? What is the formula in denominator? RV. What is RV? Redeemable value. So 100 plus SV. SV is how much? 97, again divided by 2, the average of this. Okay, so now let us calculate. If you take 8 plus 100 minus 97 divided by 2. What is the numerator value you will get? 8 plus then 100 minus 9, 3. Okay, 24. Let me take here. Let us do some calculation now. So what is the final answer coming? If you see the calculation, we will getting the KP. Okay, this ultimately we are arriving with the KP value here. So how much you are getting the KP? It's around 8.15. Yeah, 8.15, 8.2 percentage. Okay, so this is the cost of that particular debentures, sorry, preferences. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Next one is, okay, so we got the answer now. Cost of equity capital. Okay, what is the cost of equity capital? Now we saw cost of differential capital. Now we have to go and see what is cost of equity capital. So there are various methods are there to calculate the cost of equity capital. One of the very famous method is CAPM method, which is called as CAPM model, capital asset pricing model, which determines the cost of equity capital, the expected return, the expected total cost of the equity share capital. Is what is the formula? K is equal to RF, okay, plus B minus RF. This is a formula for calculating the cost of equity capital under CAPM method. Okay, so what is RF here? Let us discuss one by one. RF means risk-free rate of return. Okay, basically it is a return, risk-free rate of return of any commercial, or you can say the bills of exchange rate, or we can say the treasury bill rate. Okay, government securities, those are called risk-free rate. B means, okay, I'm going to discuss all this thing in future also, but try to understand as of now. B means beta value of the market. So it is a systematic risk. Okay, I'm going to discuss later on what is this systematic risk. But remember, beta is a stock market risk. It's nothing but stock market risk. Beta value, systematic risk. And next, what is RM? RM is nothing but return of market, or we can say market return. What is the market giving the return? Stock market return. So when you add all those things, when you take the formula, you will get the CAPM value. Okay, nothing but cost of equity capital. Nothing but according to the CAPM. This is one of the best method to calculate the cost of equity for any reason if they given in the company. So that is called as cost of equity capital. Okay, so that is all about your cost of equity capital. And next one is last, finally we have something called as weighted, okay, weighted average cost of capital. So what is this weighted average cost of capital? It is the total capital of which are the various ways a company raise the capital from, where are the, whether equity, debt, preference. Okay, when you add everything together, it becomes the weighted average cost of capital. So basically weighted average cost of capital, how do we calculate? KO is represent cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital means the overall capital cost. What is the total overall cost including equity, preference, debt, nothing but debentures, and retained earning also. But remember, retained earning cost is not involved so much. So but we assume to be here, okay, that there is no cost involved in the retained earning, because since it's in fact is the company's retained, the profit is been with them only, so there is no cost is involved that much to raise that fund only. Okay, so always what they do, usually the cost of equity, nothing but the cost of retained earning are often taken as equivalent to the cost of equity. So we can say the cost of retained earning is always equivalent to the cost of equity. So therefore we assume to be always, okay, that is nothing but the weighted average cost of capital. So how do we calculate, like K1, okay, we can say the cost of first, okay, K means cost, we give the weight plus K2, then W2, the second one. And like this, how many you have various capital, you can keep adding over there. So K3, W3, like this. Go with n number of, right? So that is how we calculate. We put as in a different. So first let's say you have raised money through your debentures. So we'll take first cost of debenture, what is the value you got, then what we'll give the weight, we calculate the weight based on the total overall capital, we give the weight. Okay, this I have already discussed with you people. Okay, but just once again I am telling you. K2, again the second part. First is let's take debenture, second is let's take preference share, third will be equity, fourth will be retained earning. Like this, we will calculate the overall cost of the capital of the company. That is called weighted average cost of capital. Okay, that is called as what? Weighted average cost of capital. So usually it is very important in the company, they calculate weighted average cost of capital to take some financing decision for the company, to take the what? Financing decision for the company. It's very important for them to when they are taking the budgeting part, usually they check capital budgeting. In that also it is very important, they check how much money can be involved, or what will be the total cost can be involved to raise the overall capital. So that cost, that one rate you will get, finally what you will get, the rate, or we can say one percentage of amount, percentage you will get. That percentage will tell you what is the cost you are going to incur for raising the capital. That is called weighted average cost of capital. Okay, the total rate will determine how much cost you are going to incur to raise the capital. So that is nothing but weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so this was all about which is given in your this particular chapter. So we discuss what is the sources of funds, and then we discuss what are the types of long-term finance, and then we discuss what is the cost is involved in each type of finance capitals. Okay, so that is all about your this particular chapter. Okay.